Can I ask you something? When was the last time you truly felt at peace? Not because someone called, not because someone visited, but just because you were alive, and that felt like enough. If you had to think hard about that answer, then this video is for you. My dear friend, I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm going to share with you today, it changed something deep inside me, and I believe with all my heart that it will do the same for you. We are at a stage of life that the world does not fully understand. The children are busy, the house is quieter now than it used to be. The phone doesn't ring the way it once did, and sometimes, in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, a feeling creeps in, a feeling that you can't quite name. It isn't exactly sadness, it isn't quite fear. It's something heavier, something hollow. Have you felt that? That strange, quiet ache of feeling alone in a world that used to be so full? I have too, and I want you to know, you are not broken, you are not forgotten, and you are most certainly not alone in feeling this way. But here's what I've come to understand. After years of sitting with Buddhist teachings, after many mornings of stillness and many nights of honest reflection, that loneliness we feel, it is not caused by the absence of people. Not really. It is caused by something else entirely. 7 things, in fact. 7 quiet thieves that steal our peace and leave emptiness behind. Today we are going to name them. We are going to look at them gently, the way you look at an old wound you've been afraid to touch. And then, together, we are going to let them go. Are you ready? Let's begin. The first thief is this: waiting for others to make you feel whole. My dear friend, how many mornings have you woken up, reached for the phone, and felt your heart sink a little when there were no messages? How many evenings have you sat near the window, half hoping someone would knock? We've lived long enough to know that love from others is a beautiful gift. But somewhere along the way, many of us began to believe we could not feel okay without it. We began to depend on calls, visits, little gestures, as proof that we matter, that we are loved, that we exist. And when those things don't come, and at our age they come less and less, the silence feels like rejection. It feels like evidence of something terrible, that we are no longer needed. Buddhism teaches us something so simple and yet so profound. The word in Pali is upadana, clinging. The Buddha said that most of our suffering comes not from what life gives us or takes away, but from our clinging to what we need it to be. When we cling to the idea that we need others to feel complete, we hand them the key to our inner peace. Every time they don't call, they take a piece of it. Every time they're too busy, another piece is gone. Let me tell you something that changed everything for me. I once heard a story about an old woman who lived alone in a small village. Her children had moved to the city. Her husband had passed. Her neighbors would see her in her garden each morning, humming softly, looking utterly content. One day, a young man asked her, "Grandmother, how are you so happy? You have no one with you." And she smiled and said, "My child, I have the most loyal companion in the world. I have myself. I have myself." What if, my friend, what if that was enough? What if you, exactly as you are right now in this very moment, were enough company for your own soul? The practice is this. Begin each morning by placing your hand on your heart. Feel it beating, and say quietly, "I am here. I am with myself, and I am enough." It sounds so small, but do it every day for 1 week, and something inside you will begin to shift. A quiet warmth will grow where the hollow used to be. The second thief is one we almost never talk about, and it is this: replaying the past. How much time do we spend, you and I, living in years that are already gone? Replaying moments, things we said, things we didn't say, choices we made, roads we didn't take, relationships that fell apart, children who drifted away. A version of ourselves that we grieve like a person we used to know? I remember sitting with an elderly man once who was in his late 70s. He had a good life, kind wife, loving family, a home full of memories, but he couldn't enjoy a single day of it because every day he lived somewhere else. He lived in a moment from 30 years ago when he had argued with his son and said something he could never take back. His son had forgiven him, life had moved on, but he never left that room. He replayed it every single day. The past is the most beautiful prison we build for ourselves. Buddhism calls this the second arrow. The Buddha once asked a student, if a person is struck by an arrow, that is painful, yes? The student agreed. And if, after being struck, that person spends the rest of their life striking themselves again and again in the same wound, how much does it hurt then? My friend, life struck us with its arrows: loss, regret, heartbreak, change. That was the first arrow. But the second arrow, the one we fire at ourselves again and again every time we replay it, that one we have a choice about. We can put it down. Not by pretending the past didn't happen, not by forcing ourselves to forget, but by gently, lovingly returning to this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this cup of tea in your hands, this light coming through the window. The present moment never asks anything of us except to be here. And when we are truly here, the loneliness loosens, because presence is connection. Even when you are alone, you are connected to the breath, to the light, to the living world around you. Try this. Whenever you notice your mind has wandered into the past, don't fight it. Just say softly, "That was then," and then look around you and say, "And this is now." Feel the difference between the two. One is a memory, the other is life, real, alive, happening right now. The third thief, and this one is painful, so stay with me, is the fear of becoming a burden. I think this is the loneliness that hurts the most quietly, because it doesn't look like loneliness from the outside. It looks like independence. It looks like strength. But inside, it is something else entirely. It sounds like this: I don't want to bother anyone. They're busy. They have their own lives. I don't want to seem needy. I'd rather manage alone than make someone feel obligated. Have you said any of those things to yourself? I thought so. So have I. And here is the terrible irony of this particular thief. In our effort not to burden the people we love, we isolate ourselves. We stop reaching out, we stop asking, we stop receiving, and then we sit in that isolation and wonder why we feel so alone. My dear friend, there is a beautiful teaching in Buddhism about the concept of interbeing. The great teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, and if you've never read his words, they are like a gentle hand on your shoulder. He taught that nothing exists in isolation. The flower cannot exist without the rain, the soil, the sun, the gardener who plants it. We are woven together. Separation is an illusion. You are not a burden for needing connection. You are not a burden for being human. The very people you're protecting by staying silent, many of them are waiting, hoping you'll reach out. Because when you let them in, you give them something precious. You give them the chance to love you. Receiving love gracefully is its own form of generosity. So here is the gentle practice. Choose one person, just one. Reach out this week, not to ask for anything big, just to say, "I was thinking of you," or "I made tea this morning and thought of the time we..." That's all. One small thread of connection, cast out into the world. You may be surprised who pulls back. My friend, we are halfway through our journey today, and I want to pause here and say something from the heart. You have lived a long life. You have carried so much. You have loved people who left. You have survived things that would have broken a younger version of you. You have gotten out of bed on mornings when getting out of bed felt impossible. That is not weakness. That is the most extraordinary kind of strength. And the peace you are searching for, it is not far away. It is not behind a door that someone else holds the key to. It is here. It has always been here. Let's keep going. The fourth thief is comparison. And at our age, it takes a very particular, very cruel form. It is not envy of what other people have. It is something quieter and more cutting. It is comparison between who we are now and who we used to be. I used to be so active. I used to have so many friends around all the time. I used to be useful. I used to be needed. My memory used to be sharp. We hold up the person we were at 40 or 50 like a painting on the wall, and we stand in front of it every morning and find ourselves lacking. This is a thief of extraordinary cruelty because it takes the very life we're living and makes it feel like a diminished version of something better. It makes now feel like a loss. Buddhism offers us a radical alternative. It is the practice of beginner's mind. The idea that every moment, this moment, is complete in itself, not a lesser version of some other moment, not a step down from what was, but whole, full, alive. The autumn leaf is not a failed spring blossom. It is its own kind of perfect. When it falls with its own grace, its own color, its own dignity. You are not a diminished version of who you were. You are a different season, and this season has its own beauty if you allow yourself to see it. This season brings things that youth never could. Perspective, the ability to sit quietly without restlessness, the wisdom to know what truly matters, a tenderness toward life that only comes from having lived enough of it to know how fragile and precious it is. Let me ask you this. What is something about who you are right now today that you could not have been at 40? Take a moment, think about it. There is something there. Hold it gently. The fifth thief is one that Buddhism speaks about with great clarity. It is the illusion of permanence. The belief, deep, unexamined, almost unconscious, that things should stay the same. We grieve when children leave home, not just because we miss them, but because some part of us believed that stage of life would last forever. We feel unmoored when our bodies change, when our circle of friends thins, when the routines that defined us are suddenly gone, because something in us assumed those things were fixed, permanent, ours to keep. The Buddha's very first teaching was about impermanence. Anicca, the truth that all things pass, every joy, every pain, every season, every face we love. Now you might be thinking, that sounds terrifying. What comfort is there in knowing everything ends? But here is the thing. The Buddha did not teach impermanence to make us despair. He taught it to set us free. When we truly accept that everything changes, we stop trying to hold on so tightly. We stop being startled when things shift. We stop fighting the current of life, and we start gently, quietly, learning to float. My dear friend, the loneliness of old age is, in large part, the loneliness of someone who expected life to stay a certain way and finds it has moved on. The antidote is not to chase what was. The antidote is to turn with open hands and an open heart toward what is. What is present in your life right now? Even small things. The warmth of sunlight on your hands, the smell of your morning coffee, the sound of birds, a memory that makes you smile. These are not consolation prizes. These are the jewels of a life fully presently lived. The sixth thief, and this one I believe is the deepest root of loneliness in old age, is the disconnection from something greater than ourselves. Many of us, when the busyness of life fades, when the children are grown and the career is behind us, find ourselves face to face with a question we spent decades avoiding. What does my life mean? What am I still here for? And without an answer, there is a vacuum. And into that vacuum flows emptiness, purposelessness, and the particular loneliness of feeling adrift in the universe. Buddhism teaches that every life is a thread in an infinite tapestry. We did not arrive here by accident. We are not here by mistake. And our value is not measured in productivity or usefulness or how many people need us today. The Vietnamese Buddhist master Thich Nhat Hanh wrote that the greatest miracle is not walking on water. The greatest miracle is walking on the earth. Being here, breathing, being alive in this extraordinary, improbable, astonishing universe. My friend, you are that miracle, right now, sitting wherever you are, breathing, feeling, thinking. That is not nothing. That is everything. Find something, anything, that connects you to a sense of meaning. It doesn't have to be grand. For some, it is tending a garden. For some, it is prayer or meditation. For some, it is writing or cooking or feeding birds or volunteering or simply sitting in nature and feeling part of something vast and ancient and alive. When we are connected to something greater than ourselves, loneliness loses its grip, because loneliness is fundamentally a feeling of separation. And this practice is about remembering we are not separate. We never were. The seventh thief, the last one, and perhaps the one that took me longest to understand. It is the resistance to our own company. We fill silence with television. We fill stillness with scrolling. We avoid being alone with ourselves the way we'd avoid a difficult conversation. We are afraid of what we might feel in the quiet, what we might hear, what we might see. But my dear friend, you are the most important relationship of your life. And many of us have spent decades not truly knowing ourselves, not sitting with ourselves, not being kind to ourselves. Buddhism places enormous emphasis on the practice of metta, loving kindness, and it always begins with oneself. You cannot fill another person's cup from an empty one. You cannot give warmth you do not have. Self-compassion is not selfishness. It is the foundation of everything. I want to share a practice with you, a simple one. Sit quietly, wherever you are comfortable. Close your eyes if you wish, and silently say these words to yourself. May I be at peace. May I be free from suffering. May I be kind to myself. May I know that I am enough. Say it again. May I be at peace. May I be free from suffering. May I be kind to myself. May I know that I am enough. You may feel resistance. You may feel that you don't deserve these words, that you have too many regrets, too many failures, too many ways you fell short. But that is exactly the voice that needs this the most. Meet it with gentleness, not argument, not proof, just gentleness. This, my friend, is the practice that dissolves loneliness from the inside out. When you are truly comfortable in your own presence, when you can sit in a quiet room and feel warmth rather than dread, then you are never truly alone, because you are there, whole, present, alive. The emotional peaking forget that 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 the emotional peaking forget the emotional peaking forward, 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 the emotional peaking forward. My dear friend, I want to say something now, and I want you to really hear it. You have lived. Oh, how you have lived. You have loved people fiercely. You have worked hard. You have worried about children in the middle of the night. You have celebrated joys and swallowed griefs that no one else ever fully saw. You have carried things in silence that would have crushed a younger heart. And you are still here, still breathing, still feeling, still searching for peace, for meaning, for connection. The fact that you are watching this video right now, that you are still curious, still reaching, still hoping, that is one of the most beautiful things I can imagine. You have not given up on life, and life has not given up on you. Please don't give up on yourself. The teachings of the Buddha do not promise us that life will be easy. They do not promise that people will stay, or that loss won't come, or that aging will be painless. What they promise is something far more reliable, that within you, right now, there is an unshakable stillness, a place of peace that no circumstance can touch, a deep, quiet wholeness that was always there, underneath all the noise and worry and longing. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to be perfect to access it. You only have to turn toward it. Now let me gently ask, what happens if we don't? What happens if we keep waiting for the phone to ring? Keep replaying the past? Keep shutting people out to avoid being a burden? Keep measuring ourselves against who we used to be? I'll tell you what happens. The years pass, and they will pass, my friend, whether we want them to or not. And we look back and realize we spent the most spacious, potentially the most peaceful years of our lives in quiet suffering that was never necessary. We miss the garden while waiting for a call. We miss the sunset while lost in a memory from decades ago. We miss this extraordinary, irreplaceable day, this day that will never come again because we were somewhere else in our minds. That is too high a price. You have already paid enough, and here is what is possible instead. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, not with dread, not with longing, not with that hollow ache, but with a quiet sense of, I am here. This day is mine, and I am at peace. Imagine drinking your morning tea in silence and finding the silence beautiful rather than painful. Imagine a day where your happiness is not dependent on a text message, a visit, a phone call, but flows from something steady and deep inside you. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing not a diminished version of who you were, but a person of extraordinary depth, a person who has earned every line on their face, a person who carries wisdom in their eyes that no young person yet has. Imagine feeling the warmth of the sun and being fully, completely there, not half somewhere in the past, not half worrying about the future, just there in the warmth, grateful and present and alive. This is not a fantasy. This is what the practice makes possible. It takes time. It takes gentleness with yourself. It takes a willingness to let go of clinging, of the past, of the illusion that you need to be more than you are to deserve peace. But it is real, and it is available to you, right now, today. Let's remember the 7 thieves we name today, not with anger, but with gratitude, because now we can see them. The first, waiting for others to make us whole. Release it by returning to yourself. The second, living in the past. Release it by coming back to this breath, this moment. The third, the fear of being a burden. Release it by receiving love gracefully, as the gift it is. The fourth, comparing now to then. Release it by embracing this season, this beautiful autumn of your life. The fifth, clinging to permanence. Release it by opening your hands to the river of change. The sixth, disconnection from meaning. Release it by finding even one small thread that connects you to something greater. The seventh, resistance to your own company. Release it by practicing loving kindness, beginning with yourself. 7 thieves, and every single one of them can be shown the door. My dear friend, if this video touched something in you today, if even one moment felt like someone finally understood what you carry, then I want to ask you something small. Leave a comment below. Just say, "I am here." That's all. Because I want you to know that this community, these other beautiful souls who are walking the same path, facing the same quiet struggles, searching for the same peace, they are here. You are not alone in this. And if you'd like to go deeper, to continue this journey together, then please subscribe and turn on the bell. Because every week you and I are going to sit together the way old friends sit, without pretense, without rush, and we're going to explore these teachings that have brought peace to so many who felt for a long time that peace was no longer possible for them. It is possible, I promise you. And the next video, I think you'll want to watch it. It's about something the Buddha called the near enemy of love, a subtle mistake that most people who are searching for peace unknowingly make that keeps them stuck. I'll put it right on your screen now. Watch it when you're ready. Until then, my friend, be gentle with yourself today. Drink your tea, feel the sunlight. Take one slow breath and know that in this moment you are safe, you are whole, and you are enough. That has always been true. Go well, go peacefully, and I'll see you in the next one.